Years ago, a man told me why he always had this empty jar on his table. He said, it used to be filled with marbles. Well, less and less marbles. He said that at one point in his life, he realized that he'd worked way too much, that he missed his kids growing up, really, and all those events, and wasn't at his wife's side through it all. It was when a friend of his died that something inside of him kind of woke up. He started thinking about the possibility of the end of his own life. And he was kind of a numbers cruncher guy, so he looked up the average life expectancy for someone of his age and calculated how many more Sundays he would have if he lived to that expected life. Then he bought bags of marbles and filled that jar with one marble for each Sunday he would have if he lived that long. Now, he knew this was not a precise number, but still, every Sunday, he would take out one marble and put it in his pocket to remind him to try to make that day count. And he said that when he would reach for his keys or put his hand in his pocket, feeling that marble woke him up a bit to not miss the blessings of that one day. He tried to be more careful to notice his kids, more awake as he walked outside to see the trees, to smile more, frown less. Now, as the number of marbles got less and less, he wasn't sure how he would feel. Anxious? Sad? He was a bit surprised to find that instead, he mostly found himself grateful for the memories of those Sundays when he was awake to what truly mattered. And as he saw less and less marbles, each week then became to him more and more important. And when his jar was completely empty, the empty jar that was on his desk, he told himself that now each new Sunday was an extra gift from God, a day to be awake to. Today, Jesus tells us that we need to stay awake so we don't miss life. He says, beware that your hearts do not become drowsy from carousing and drunkenness and the anxieties of daily life, or we'll miss it. We'll miss the gift of the one life we have been given. Jesus proclaimed it this way: the kingdom of heaven is at hand. At hand. Not out there somewhere, not someday later. It is just below the surface of the ordinary moments of our regular daily living. It's always there if we are awake enough to go deeper. This is hard work, right? It's easy to stay on the surface, to be distracted by 1,000 things that really don't matter, foolishly thinking that, someday we'll have enough time for what we say is really important. But our scriptures again remind us in so many words that there are sadly less and less Sundays to be awake to the life we've been given. Often it is a crisis that wakes us up, and I hope it doesn't take that for us. Too many people hearing me right now know that sometimes, shockingly, life is much shorter than we would wish. Sadly, it's too often when we get the rough diagnoses or we get caught doing something inappropriate at home or at work and lose our job or relationship. Maybe it's when we sit in the hospital at the bedside of a child who might not make it. It's then that we suddenly wake up to what was just below the surface. We see the gift that was there all along, and we wake up in that moment praying it's not too late. If we are blessed that our loved one does come home from the hospital, or that spouse or friend forgives us and is willing to again work on the relationship, or we get another chance at work, or even at life itself, we are so grateful and awake. Yet too often we again fall back to sleep. We forget the precarious blessings of living an ordinary day with integrity. Personally, I am old enough now that when the seasons change, I usually find myself wondering, well, how many more autumns will I have? How many more winters and springs to savor? And when I find myself lamenting that life is going by too quickly, I try to remind myself that the remedy is to cherish the moments along the way as best as I can, to find the gift buried in the ordinary, and to remember that my deepest joy is to be found in living these regular days with integrity. It's true that you and I don't know how many more Sundays we have left. May that sobering awareness wake us up again to the incredible gift that can only be found in the mix of a regular day, an ordinary day like today.